take Stuart and Falcon. Cheer up, Grandpuff. We'll find a nice railway. Then you can come and keep us in order.
Edward is impossible. He clamps about like a lot of old iron. He is so slow, he makes us wait. So, the old iron caught you after all. A fine piece of work. I'm proud of you, Edward. You shall go to the works and have your worn parts mended. Oh, thank you, sir. It'll be lovely not to clink. Controller had sent Edward to the works to be mended. Near the works station, Edward noticed a narrow gauge engine standing in an open-sided shed. That's Skarloey, he thought. What's he doing there? Skarloey was pleased to see Edward. The owner has just bought 2 more engines, he said. He told me I was a very old engine and deserved a good rest. He gave me this shed so that I could see everything and not be lonely. But I am lonely all the same, he continued sadly. I miss Rheneas very much. And now he's gone to be mended. I wish I could be mended too, and pull coaches again. Just then, some workmen came. We're going to mend you now, Edward, they said. Come along. And goodbye, Skarloey. It's a lovely little line. It is, it is. You've cheered me up. Goodbye.
The new engines looked very smart. One was called Sir Handel, and the other Peter Sam. What a small shed, grumbled Sir Handel. This won't do at all. I think it's nice, said Peter Sam. Huh, grunted Sir Handel. What's that rubbish? Shush, shush, said Peter Sam. That's Skarloey, the famous old engine. I'm sorry, Skarloey, he whispered. Sir Handel's upset now, but he's quite nice, really. Skarloey felt sorry for Peter Sam. No, Sir Handel, we'll get you ready. I'm tired. Let Peter Sam go. He'd love it. No, said the fireman. Owner's orders, you're first. Oh, well, said Sir Handel sulkily. I suppose I must. When his driver arrived, Sir Handel puffed away to catch the coaches. Whatever next? He snorted. Those aren't coaches. They're cattle trucks. Ooh! Screamed Agnes, Ruth, Lucy, Jemima and Beatrice. What a horrid engine! It's not what I'm used to, clanked Sir Handel rebelliously, making for the station. He rolled to the platform just as Gordon arrived. Hello, he said. Who are you? I'm Gordon. Who are you? I'm Sir Handel. Yes, I've heard of you. You're an express engine, I believe. So am I, but I'm used to bogie coaches, not these cattle trucks. Do you have bogie coaches? Oh, yes, I see you do. We must have a chat sometime. Sorry I can't stop. Must keep time, you know. And he puffed off, leaving Gordon at a loss for words. Come along, he puffed. Cattle trucks, grumbled the coaches. took the train to the top station. He was cross. "We'll leave the coaches," said his driver, "and fetch some trucks from the quarry." "Trucks!" snorted Sir Handel. "Trucks!" "I won't," he muttered. "So there." Sir Handel jerked forward. He lurched, bumped, and stopped. "Hold you!" said Sir Handel triumphantly. They telephoned the thin controller. He came up at once with Peter Sam and brought some workmen in a truck. Then he and the fireman took Peter Sam home, while the driver and workman put Sir Handel back on the rails. Sir Handel did not feel so pleased with himself when he crawled home and found the thin controller waiting for him. "You are a very naughty engine," he said sternly. "You will stay in the shed till I can trust you to behave." As Sir Handel was shut up, Peter Sam had to run the line. He was excited. "Anybody would think," said Sir Handel rudely, "that he wanted to work." "All respectable engines do," said Skarloey firmly. "Keep calm, Peter Sam. Don't get excited, and you'll do very well." But Peter Sam was in such a state that he couldn't listen. Peter Sam ran along to fetch the coaches, and although he was so excited, he remembered to be careful. "That's the way, my dears. Gently does it." Peter Sam fussed into the station to find Henry already there. "This won't do, youngster," said Henry. "I can't be kept waiting. If you are late tonight, I'll go off and leave your passengers behind." "Pooh," said Peter Sam. But secretly, he was a little worried. But he couldn't feel worried for long. Peter Sam puffed happily away, singing a little song. "I'm Peter Sam, I'm running this line. I'm Peter Sam, I'm running this line." What fun it all is, he thought. Agnes, Ruth, Jemima, Lucy and Beatrice enjoyed themselves too. "He's cocky, trot, trot, but he's nice, trot, trot. He's cocky, trot, trot, but he's nice, trot, trot," they sang as they trundled along. They were growing very fond of Peter Sam. Every afternoon, they had to wait an hour at the station by the lake. The driver, fireman and the guard usually bought something from the refreshment lady. The refreshment lady always came home on this train. Time passed slowly today for Peter Sam. At last his driver and fireman came. Peter Sam was sizzling with impatience. "Hurry up, please," he whistled to the passengers. How awful, he thought, if we miss Henry's train. The guard was ready with his flag and whistle. The refreshment lady walked across the platform. Then it happened. The guard says that Peter Sam was too impatient. Peter Sam says he was sure he heard a whistle. Anyway, he started. "Stop, stop, stop!" wailed the coaches. "You've left her behind!" "Bother, we'll miss Henry now." The refreshment lady climbed into Beatrice, and they started again. Oh, we're sure to be late. Oh, we're sure to be late, panted Peter Sam frantically. His driver had to keep checking him. "Steady, old boy, steady!" And they reached the big station just as Henry steamed in. "Hoorah!" said Peter Sam, and he let off steam with relief. Not bad, youngster, said Henry loftily. The refreshment lady shook her fist at Peter Sam. What do you mean by leaving me behind? She demanded. I'm sorry, refreshment lady. And he told her what Henry had said. The refreshment lady laughed. Oh, you silly engine, she said. Henry wouldn't dare go. It's a guaranteed connection. Well, said Peter Sam, where's that Henry? But Peter Sam was too late that time, for Henry had trottled away. Sir Handel was glad to come out. He tried to be kind, but the coaches didn't trust him. They were awkward and rude. It was most unfortunate, too, that Sir Handel had to check suddenly to avoid running over a sheep. He's bumped us, screamed the coaches. Let's pay him out. They surged into Sir Handel, making him lurch off the line. Luckily, no one was hurt. Sir Handel limped to the shed. No more work for you today, he said. We must take the village people home and fetch the tourists, all without an engine. What about me, sir? Skarloey, he exclaimed. Can you do it? I'll try, answered the old engine. The coaches stood at the platform. Skarloey advanced on them. I'm ashamed of you, he scolded. Such behaviour. You might have hurt your passengers. We're sorry, Skarloey, quavered the coaches meekly. Skarloey felt happy. He remembered all the gates and stiles where he had to stop and whistled to his friends. The sun shone, the rails were dry. This is lovely, he thought. But presently they began to climb, and he felt short of steam. Oh, bother my tubes, he panted. Take your time, old boy, soothed his driver. It'll be better downhill, he thought. The coaches ran nicely, but he soon began to feel tired again. His springs were weak, and the rail joints jarred his wheels. Then with a crack, a front spring broke, and he stopped. I feel all crooked, he complained. That's torn it, said his driver. We'll need a bus now for our passengers. No, pleaded Skarloey. I'll get home or burst, he promised bravely. James and his train waited impatiently. Then groaning, clanging and clanking, Skarloey crept into sight. I'll do it! I've done it! James said nothing. He waited for his passengers and then respectfully puffed away. You were right, sir. Old engines can't pull trains like young ones. They can if they're mended, old faithful, he said. And that's what will happen to you. You deserve it.